Hi, this is Margo. This is Monday evening, September 23rd, 2019, and I'm going to do a brief methane and sea ice update for everyone. It's been a little over a week since I did one, so I hope everyone is doing well. Today, being September 23rd, it's the first day of fall for the Northern Hemisphere. And this is about the time when the Arctic sea ice should be starting to refreeze and come back. So we're going to be watching it, and this is another reason I wanted to go ahead and do a show today so that we can see where we're at on today, the 23rd. So I've been saving these pictures as I could, as I was able to, from Climate Reanalyzer. Here it is from today. This is the sea ice and snow cover in the Arctic. So we'll go back for the last week to see where we came from. I missed yesterday, the 22nd. Here it was on the 21st, the 20th, 18th, 17th, 16th, and this was a glitch in the system, I'm thinking. So that's what they had up there for the 16th. And here it was on the 15th, which was Sunday a week ago, where we can see the extent is still about the same, but it's thickening up a little bit. So if we go back through our slideshow, we can see it's getting whiter, meaning it's thickening up a little bit, and the edges are moving just a tiny bit. And here it is today. And here is the navy sea ice thickness graph for today. This is the day that they took the data, which was the 22nd, and then they forecasted out for today, the 23rd. So that's what these numbers mean in these. So here it is. It's still quite thin. The extent is about the same, but it's starting to thicken up a little bit, but it's still quite thin around the North Pole, especially. Here's the 30-day GIF, which goes back 3 weeks and forward 1 week, so we can see that they're expecting the extent to start to come back out as it starts to refreeze as it can. We're seeing some refreeze coming out around northern Greenland and coming back in these tributaries of the Greenland archipelago a tiny bit, and it just looks like it's kind of settling in and just kind of holding, but it's still so thin that if we had a major storm or anything, that sea ice would be gone. It just would be gone. The ding in the background is my dryer going. I've done some laundry, so we're going to let that go. And I made this movie from NASA Worldview. This is the sea ice concentration in the Arctic for since the 13th, and it goes through the 21st because they're a couple of days behind on their data. So as it's running through, you can see the blue, where it's really blue, the darker blue, that's less concentration. So you can see that the extent is about the same. It was actually shrinking even until around well, we can just watch it over here. Here it is on the 18th, where it was still shrinking. And then we can see it started refreeze coming out a little bit on the 19th. Here's the 20th and the 21st. But we're still seeing this blue band coming through just to the north of Greenland. And it's still quite blue around the edges. So it's not very concentrated at all. So that's the slideshow that I have for you today. Now let's go on over and look at methane. The latest methane data from CAMS is from yesterday, Sunday the 22nd. I had the Arctic view pulled up for surface level, and so we'll let this movie run. So this is where it ended on Saturday, with the large release coming up out of the UK. This is Iceland. You're going to see large releases coming off of Iceland. Svalbard is releasing in the forecast period, and we had seen a huge release coming up out of the Norway area. But so we'll just run this movie and you'll see what's going on up here. So the data is from Sunday, and the forecast runs Monday through Thursday. Now in the forecast period, notice this large release in the Kara Sea and also in the Laptev Sea. Now we haven't seen a blowout over here in the East Siberia ice shelf. I don't know if they've been protecting that or what, but we're seeing this release swirl around off of Siberia, and then another one swirl up in the Laptev Sea over here. And also here's our release on Iceland, on this edge here and this edge here. Over here, look for a dark release here, right there on Svalbard on Wednesday. They're anticipating a large release on Svalbard on Wednesday, and we can see it coming up. Now this is surface level, so this is coming up out of the ocean, and so it's still pretty incredible considering that we're now, the sun is going down in the Arctic and the northern hemisphere is tilting away from the sun, so we're still seeing large releases. We've got large releases still in Alaska and Canada, and huge releases coming out of the United States. We'll look at that in a little more detail in a second. We'll let this run through again. And I'm not presenting the NOAA readings because they've been offline. The MEDOP 2 satellite has been offline, so I can't get good readings. Here's the North Pole view, and so we can see pretty much the whole northern hemisphere. Here this is India, and it goes all the way across Asia and China. I mean, it's really filling in here. And earlier this week, Indonesia, there was massive, you can see like this massive amounts coming up. We'll take a look at that out of Indonesia. There have been some wildfires, terrible wildfires over there, and volcanoes going off and all kinds of stuff. So Looks pretty bad to me. Let's go down now to, let's go to the East Tropic view. And I like this view because you can see most of Africa. You can see India, you can see Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and so forth. India and all of China, and then Indonesia down here. You can also see Australia and New Zealand in this view. So this is a pretty comprehensive view. Now we're seeing releases here. Here's Indonesia. It's really blowing up, but it was a lot worse earlier in the week. You can see the outline of Australia where the methane is coming up, and then New Zealand's over here. But you get the idea on that. I'm not going to run through all of that. Let's go to the global view now. Let's go back to the beginning. We're seeing a lot of release in the Antarctic, around the edge of the continent where the sea ice is. The sun has come up down there, so it will be up 24/7 for the next few months. And we can see methane is coming up around the edges of the continent and through where the sea ice is. And if we go to total column, this is much worse than last week, and if we refresh it, we'll get the correct chart to go with it. Total column. And so this is 1860, 1880, 1900. So this dark brown is anywhere between 1920 and 2320 parts per billion. We can see that down here, I believe this is Indonesia and Malaysia. It's dark in that dark brown, and then a lot of China and so on. And it's red over the Pacific Ocean. It's red moving across into Africa. It's red down here in Mexico. This is where Popocatépetl and some other volcanoes are going off, and it's moving into the orangey and into, okay, here's the golden orange color. The next color on the chart will be red coming across the Pacific here. So we can see that just eyeballing it, it's high. It's high, and it's worse. Every time I show it, it's worse. So there's that. We'll leave that in the background. Now I want to hop over to Climate Reanalyzer. Here's our maximum temperatures for today. We can see around the world it's pretty hot for a lot of the northern hemisphere, but especially like Africa, South America, and so on. It's definitely heating up. Well, it's cooling somewhat in the Arctic, and here's our 2-meter temperature anomaly map. Look at Greenland. It looks like a chili pepper, it's so red. So it's in the red zone, getting up to 20 degrees Celsius warmer than normal. And even over the Arctic, it's in the browns, so it's warmer than normal. And a lot of North America is in the brown. We'll just click around. Here's Africa. Here's Russia and Mongolia and China. That's in the brown. A little bit of South America. And here's the Antarctic. And then here's our cloud cover, and the green is rain. The blue is snow. So it's raining in the Arctic, just south of Svalbard, around the edge of Greenland there. A little bit of rain to the north of Barrow, Alaska. Let's look at our jet stream. Here's our schizophrenic jet stream. Here's the sea ice and snow cover, which I already showed there. If you want to look at the Arctic, the Antarctic, there's that. And here's the sea surface temperature anomaly map. This is from yesterday. And where this white is where the sea ice is in the Arctic. And we can see that the sea ice, the water around it, is in the browns primarily and the reds. So that's going to keep the refreeze from progressing as they would like it to, I'm thinking. And see, it's brown here in this Baffin Bay. It's high in the Hudson Bay, and so on. Look at it in the Pacific Ocean. It's awful. In the northern hemisphere, it's 0.6 degrees Celsius higher than normal sea surface temperature. For the world, it's 0.2 degrees Celsius higher than normal. Here's the sea ice index from National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is the concentration. It matches up with what we saw from NASA Worldview. Here's their extent chart. They're saying that our extent is better than this time in 2012, but they're counting very thin ice, very thin, whatever's like pond scum even they count. And the Antarctic, here's the sea ice concentration for yesterday. We can see it's pretty thin. See the dark blue there? And here's the chart for the Antarctic. and last year it hit an all-time low in 2018, September of 2018, and then it went back up. Well, that was at the beginning of September, and then it went back up, and we're tied with this time last year, it looks like. And we were at an all-time low this year for most of the year. So that's not looking good. Here's Greenland, and where it's melting, we can see in the salmon color areas it's still melting today. Here's where it's melted this year. Here's the Greenland melt extent for 2019, and September it looks like it's about on par. It's gone way down, so which it should, considering the sun's gone down. And then let's look at NASA World View now. Here's the Arctic view for today, September 23rd. This hole is where the sun has gone down, and we don't have any sunlight up there now. And this hole is going to be getting bigger and bigger every day here. But so this is right at the North Pole. But if we go back, and I showed even last time, we could see the broken up sea ice here at the North Pole last time. See, there it is, broken up. We can see each day the hole getting a little bigger as the sun's going down. And then here it is today. And we can see the edge of the sea ice is pretty well defined here. Right along here. We're looking through a little bit of a cloud layer. But this is the edge. See the pinking shears? That's a cut and paste. They do that. And then here's the edge around this way, coming on up. This is very thin, very mushy, slushy edge of the ice. But they count all of it as extent, any little frozen piece. These are clouds we're looking through. Here's Alaska, right here. Here's Barrow. These are clouds we're looking through. This is ice free. Here's the edge of the ice here. We can see it there. Here's Greenland. Here's this northern part where it's all broken up. Here's the nearest strait. This is cloud cover here. There's no ice along there. But they're anticipating, according to the Navy website, for the ice to be forming down along this way. on this eastern side soon. So we'll be watching that. Here's Svalbard. This is cloud covered. There's no ice down here. Here's the edge of the sea ice coming in, just beginning to refreeze. Here's Novaya Zemlya. That's all cloud cover. Here's Norway, Sweden, and Finland. This is the Kola Peninsula here. This is Russia. So, and here's the UK. So we saw this methane streaming up from the UK and coming across Iceland and coming all the way across. We saw Greenland red in the red zone on Climate Reanalyzer. So there's the state of the Arctic as of today, September 23rd. And I have a couple of articles I'd like to share, and then we'll wrap it up. This is from Robin Westenra's blog. This is Extreme Weather Report for today. This title is a little hard to read because of the spacing, but we can make it out. This is regarding the aftermath of the hurricane that hit the Bahamas, Dorian. Stench of death in some neighborhoods of the Bahama Islands has become overwhelming. Police say they don't want to go there. 1,300 still missing. Look at that. That's awful. This is from the Big Wobble from the 23rd. According to a new report, the stench of death in some neighborhoods of the Bahama Islands has become overwhelming 2 weeks after Hurricane Dorian smashed its way and then stalled for 48 hours into the area. There's pictures. It just decimated it. According to the report by CNN, East Grand, Bahamas still looks like a war zone. The carnage is so widespread that even police officers can't bear to see it. Police say they don't want to go there. It's too hard for them to go see their people, said Patricia Frayling, a Florida nurse who's volunteering in East Grand, Bahama. They think there will be a lot of bodies, so we're preparing for anything. The official death toll across the Bahamas is 52, but that number is expected to skyrocket with 1,300 people still missing 2 weeks after the hurricane. Some may be trapped under mountains of rubble where houses once stood. Others may have been washed away in the storm surge, their bodies only recently surfacing on land. So we need to say prayers for all those people. And this is what we can expect as things get worse. And then the next article, there are only 2 on this extreme weather report. Indonesians suffering respiratory problems from wildfires reaches almost 1 million, with Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and the Philippines affected too. So this is the area where we saw the methane popping up. This is also from the Big Wobble. The number of Indonesians suffering respiratory problems caused by smoke from forest and peatland fires blanketing parts of Borneo and Sumatra in the past few months has nearly reached 900,000, according to the authorities. Data released last Friday by the Crisis Mitigation Center of the Ministry of Health showed that a total of 885,026 people have been suffering from acute respiratory infections. Of the total, 291,807 cases were recorded in South Sumatra province and 268,591 cases in Riau province, both in Sumatra, followed by West Kalimantan province in Borneo with 662 cases. The haze has impacted air quality not only in Indonesia but also in Malaysia, Singapore, and as far as Thailand and the Philippines. The smog has forced Indonesia and Malaysia to close thousands of schools, with hundreds of Malaysian flights already being cancelled. Meanwhile, an operation to put out the fires with water bombing and cloud seeding is underway, involving almost 30,000 personnel and over 50 helicopters. Forest and peatland fires in Indonesia are most frequent between April and October, mostly due to slash-and-burn farming practices. Despite the seriousness of the haze problem this year, Indonesia is still unwilling to accept help offers from neighboring countries. In its Saturday editorial, the English-language Jakarta Post criticized the government for insisting on handling the problem on its own. Optimism that we can contain the fires ourselves does not help while children suffer even more from the effect of toxic pollutants compared with adults. It said, "We need all the help we can get now." Hellish red skies cover parts of Indonesia as the country is gripped by haze and smog caused by huge forest fires. Apocalyptic-looking haze has descended on Jambi province in Indonesia. Rayleigh scattering is caused by farmers burning waste crops on their land. Sunlight has fragmented through the thick smoke to make the hellish haze. Indonesian government has deployed 10,000 firemen to combat the forest fires. So here's the third article for Mail Online. This is from today. Look at that. It's awful. Here's another article. Okay, they keep coming. I thought there were only a couple. Severe flooding hits Trinidad and Tobago, Karen heading toward Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. That's all flooded out. This is a tweet. Tropical storm Karen unleashed rough seas, harsh rains, and strong winds on Trinidad and Tobago, causing intense damage and severe flooding on September 23rd. And Trinidad, in case people don't know, is a little island just north of Venezuela. And we can go, oh my gosh, looks like they just had an earthquake, 6.3. I keep the earthquake map up all day long. This just came in at Isabela, Puerto Rico. This just came in. At 8:23 p.m. my time. So that was 10 minutes ago. Isabela, Puerto Rico. Okay, it was in the ocean. Let's see. They've got a tsunami wave. Let's see if there's a tsunami warning for that. They've got a couple of things here. They're saying no tsunami threat to Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, or the British Virgin Islands from this earthquake. People may have experienced shaking from the earthquake. Yeah, I think so. 44 miles north of Puerto Rico. Let's see if anyone else. An earthquake is not expected to generate a tsunami. This report is for U.S. East Coast, the Gulf of Mexico states, or the eastern coast of Canada. Okay. Well, but it can cause underwater damage, landslides, and all kinds of stuff. That just happened. So I'm going to show you where Trinidad is located. It's right down here. Here's Tobago and Trinidad. Here's Trinidad right there, and here's Tobago. And that's where they were talking about the flooding in that other article. So while we're here looking at earthquakes, they've been going down. 276 in the last 24 hours. Of those, here's this event area that I've been watching in Southern California at the Ridgecrest in Searles Valley. There's 116. So it's still rocking every single day. It hasn't stopped. But only 20 earthquakes worldwide, 2.5 magnitude or higher. There was also quite a bit of activity, some activity up here in the Aleutian Islands, right here. A 5.3 Nikolsky, a 3.7, and a 4.0 right here at Nikolsky, Alaska. And then here's one, a 2.2 next to it at Akutan. But what's kind of note is there are only 27 earthquakes of all magnitudes being reported here in Alaska in the last 24 hours, and normally Alaska has between 50 and 100 a day. So they didn't have very many yesterday either, so it makes me wonder if something is building for something bigger. And let's see, here's one off the coast of Kamchatka, Russia, 4.9. So then down here, 5.2 at Micronesia, 4.7 off the at the Philippines near Eras Asan. But yeah, this one, that's a big one. And then in the US, We had a 3.1 at St. John's, Arizona. We don't normally have them there. Here's a 2.2 near Ferndale. This is on the edge of the Juan de Fuca plate, and so on and so forth. So here's a 2.5 at Windham, Virginia. So, you know, I'm still watching all this stuff just because I'm not reporting on it constantly. So, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for there. And I'd like to remind everyone that I do believe we are in the end times, and I do this reporting to show how things are progressing and where we are in the end times geologically. And so if you haven't gotten right with God and Jesus, now would be a good time, because no one knows the day or the hour. And just like those poor people in the Bahamas, you know, it happened pretty quick. So it could happen to any of us, no matter where you are. No place is safe. But this is not our world. For those of us who are believers in Jesus Christ, you know, our kingdom is not of this world. Our kingdom is a heavenly kingdom, which is where we're preparing for. So, if you haven't given your life to Jesus, now would be a good time. So I love you guys, and until next time, God bless you, go in peace, and good night.